It all started like a normal day. I was just trying to pick up my life-saving medication from the pharmacy before heading home. But the second I stepped outside, everything changed. Out of nowhere, the HOA president, who I'll just call Karen stormed over, blocking my path like she owned the world. She wasn't just rude, she was furious. Apparently, she had some wild issue with where I parked for 2 minutes even though I'd explained it was an emergency pickup. But she didn't care. What she did next, I still can't believe it happened. She snatched the bag of medication from my hands. Yes, my actual prescribed meds, saying people like me were always breaking the rules. I tried to reason with her, begged her to stop, but she just kept yelling, waving the bag around like it was some kind of trophy. My heart was racing. I need this medication every day to stay stable. I couldn't just let it go. When I asked for it back, she turned and started walking away with it. Thankfully, the pharmacist saw everything from the window and called the police. But what happened when the cops showed up? Let's just say, things took a turn Karen definitely didn't see coming. And it was all caught on camera. You're not going to believe how this one ends. Now, here's where things get even crazier. While we waited for the police, Karen stood there like she was the hero of the story, arms crossed, smug smile, still holding my medication like it was a piece of trash. People started gathering, some just staring, others recording on their phones. I could hear whispers. Hissed that the HOA lady. What's she doing with his meds? But Karen didn't care. She just kept ranting about how rules are rules, and how she was tired of people thinking they're above the HOA. All because I parked near the curb for 5 minutes. I live in this neighborhood. I follow the rules. But Karen, she's made it her mission to control every little thing. She's knocked on doors over mailbox colors, threatened fines over tiny weeds, and even banned holiday lights before. Most people just try to avoid her. But this time, she crossed a line. This wasn't about decorations or lawn height. This was my health. The pharmacist stepped outside to try and talk her down, but Karen wouldn't budge. She kept saying she was making a citizen's stand, and that I was using my health as an excuse. Meanwhile, I'm standing there, terrified, because I knew if I didn't get that medication soon, I could end up in a hospital. But then the sound of sirens started getting closer. As the sirens got louder, Karen's confidence started to crack, but just a little. She backed up a few steps, still clutching the bag, now glancing around like she was realizing maybe, just maybe, she'd gone too far. But instead of calming down, she doubled down. She started yelling louder, now accusing me of being aggressive, saying I charged at her, which couldn't have been further from the truth. Thankfully, there were witnesses. A few neighbors had come out of nearby stores, and some of them had started recording everything. One of them, Mrs. Lynn, who's lived on our street for over a decade, spoke up. She told Karen to give me the meds back and stop causing a scene. Karen snapped at her too, saying this was HOA business, and she had every right to enforce parking rules. But we weren't even on private property. It was a shared lot next to the pharmacy. That's when it hit me. This wasn't about rules. This was personal. Karen had been targeting me for months. Little notes on my door, random complaints to the board, even calling animal control on my dog once. What I didn't know at the time was that someone in the crowd had already sent the video to our HOA board group chat, and someone else. They were live streaming. The police were just seconds away, but Karen wasn't finished. The moment the police cruiser turned into the lot, everything felt like it slowed down. Karen stiffened, then quickly tried to change her tone. She suddenly became sweet, waving at the officers like they were old friends, saying, "Oh, thank goodness you're here. I was just trying to keep the neighborhood safe." Safe? From what? Me getting my medication. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. One of the officers stepped out, serious expression, hand resting near his belt, not aggressive, but clearly cautious. The pharmacist walked straight up to him and began explaining everything. He pointed toward Karen and told them exactly what he saw, how she took the medication from me, refused to give it back, and how she caused a scene. Another neighbor jumped in, backing him up with their phone already pulled up to the video. Karen's smile started to fade fast. That's when she tried to play the victim card again. She started crying, saying I'd scared her, and that she was just doing her duty as an HOA leader. But her voice cracked, and she could see it wasn't working. The officer asked to see the medication bag. Karen hesitated, just stood there frozen. You could feel the tension like electricity in the air. Everyone was silent. No one moved. And then the officer said 4 words that changed everything. "Ma'am, please hand over the bag." Those words hung in the air, and for a second, we all thought she'd finally give it up. But instead, Karen clutched it tighter and said, "This is evidence. I'm not giving it to anyone but my lawyer." That's when everything shifted. The officer's whole vibe changed. His posture straightened. His tone went firm. "You're interfering with medical access and refusing a lawful request. That's not how this works." Before anything else could happen, her phone buzzed. She looked down, face drained of color. Turns out, someone from the HOA board had texted her. They'd seen the live stream. Not only were they not supporting her, they were furious. One even commented in the stream, "Karen does not represent us. This is unacceptable behavior." She tried to ignore it, but people in the crowd had already seen the message too. Whispers turned into murmurs. Cameras zoomed in. And then, another twist. The officer who had stayed by the car got a call over his radio. There had been another report filed by a local pharmacy chain Karen had harassed before. Apparently, this wasn't the first time she'd gotten in someone's face outside a medical building. Same pattern, power trip, accusations, chaos. Suddenly, this wasn't just about me and my medication anymore. It was bigger. And Karen? She had no idea what was coming next. Karen's face went pale when the officer mentioned the second report. She tried to recover, stammering something about being misunderstood, but no one was buying it anymore. The tension hit its peak when the officer calmly repeated, "Last chance. Hand over the medication, or we'll have to detain you." The crowd went silent. Cameras were rolling. Even people who had just pulled into the lot stayed in their cars, watching. Finally, with shaky hands, Karen extended the bag toward him. But before she could let go, she blurted out, "He doesn't even live here full-time. He shouldn't get special treatment." That was her last card, a final desperate attempt to justify what she did. The officer didn't flinch. He took the bag, handed it back to me, then turned to Karen and said, "Ma'am, you're under arrest for obstruction and interfering with access to medical care." As he placed her in handcuffs, Karen kept insisting it was all a mistake, but no one was listening anymore. Neighbors had seen too much. And then, just when I thought it was over, the unexpected twist. One of the officers quietly asked me if I'd be willing to testify. Apparently, the other pharmacy incident was part of an open investigation. Karen might be facing more than just a fine. She wasn't just a difficult HOA president. She could be looking at real charges. After Karen was taken away, the crowd slowly started to break up, but the shock on people's faces lingered. A few neighbors came up to check on me, offering support, saying they'd had their own run-ins with her, but never imagined it would go this far. The pharmacist gave me a fresh set of medication, no charge, just relieved the situation hadn't turned worse. I honestly couldn't thank him enough. He didn't have to step in, but he did, and it probably saved me more than just time. She wasn't just a difficult HOA president. She could be looking at real charges. After Karen was taken away, the crowd slowly started to break up, but the shock on people's faces lingered. A few neighbors came up to check on me, offering support, saying they had their own run-ins with her, but never imagined it would go this far. The pharmacist gave me a fresh set of medication, no charge, just relieved the situation hadn't turned worse. I honestly couldn't thank him enough. He didn't have to step in, but he did, and it probably saved me more than just time. Later that week, the HOA board sent out an official statement removing Karen from her position and apologizing to the community. They admitted they had ignored complaints about her behavior for too long. Apparently, my story and the viral video finally pushed them to act. As for me, I agreed to cooperate with the ongoing investigation involving the other pharmacy incident. It's not about revenge, it's about making sure no one else goes through something like this again. At the end of the day, this wasn't just about one bad moment or a parking spot. It was about power being misused and how standing up, especially when it's hard, can create real change. And yeah, I got my meds back, but more importantly, the truth finally came out.